Welcome to another Clifton Cameras video. We're here today at Frampton Court. So what we have is three different setups with three different major brands, Pentax, Hasselblad, and Fujifilm, and they have both brought the best of the best to the table. They have their medium format cameras, two of which I think are mirrorless, and then you have Pentax with the 645Z. Each camera manufacturer has brought along a number of models. Well, models is in cameras, not people. But there will be an opportunity for each participant to just have a good solid hour and a half with each of those cameras over the course of the day. We're going to give you a tour just around Frampton, show you what we're doing, talk about the cameras. We're going to talk to the photographers about what's special about their particular camera and their technique, challenge them on the narrative that they try to tell, how they get their photos, just a whole lot really. Maybe even give you some history of Frampton Court. The fire in that room is lovely, but it is very warm and there's a lot of bodies in there. But Rumen had some really interesting things to say about his technique. Hopefully we get to speak to him for a bit earlier, but he's definitely got his hands full right now. He was just explaining the detail that you can capture with these medium format cameras. There are a lot of silly videos out there on YouTube right now saying that you can capture similar detail with an iPhone or, you know, a crop sensor sort of camera, which it just isn't true. And the reason that he's a big fan of the H series system and the medium format cameras that you have here is because you can shoot 16-bit. And that is there's a massive difference between shooting 16-bit than there is shooting at 12 or 14, because each time the number of tones that you can pick up color-wise increases exponentially. And when you get to 16-bit, there are 281 trillion tones that your camera can pick up in a photograph, which means that the tones in the skin, the gradient from color to color or light to dark becomes infinitely smoother. And when you're shooting with the H camera in particular, I think these cameras are 50 megapixels, but with the H system, you're shooting at 100 million pixels with 281 trillion tones. The detail and the color is incredible. It is luscious. So it's been really interesting listening to Rumen. We also got some shots of Anna with the X1D mirrorless system. She was very, very good. You know, love shooting with this camera, love shooting with the bronze color lights. I think just a rough idea of the settings that we were shooting on. I think we were shooting at 200 ISO, f5.6, and then just kind of playing with the shutter speed so that with the fire that was in the room, slowing it down, getting a little bit more flicker, speeding it up, and then eliminating the ambient light. So we'll show you what some of the shots look like from this stunning camera. So we've come outside now to the rear of the building where we were earlier, and we're in our second session with Pentax now and Brett. And what he's doing is, with this group, they're just going through the first round, and what Brett likes to do is he starts out with the model, figures out where he wants to position the first light, and then he brings in a second light to bring in a little more ambience, and then sometimes a third. He's also going to demonstrate to us a little bit later what he does with a fog machine, which is pretty unique. He'll use the fog to create a haze and then shoot with he puts a colored gel over a backlight and shoots through the haze to create this grainy sort of ambience in his shot. So we'll be able to show you what that looks like afterwards. We're going to go over and join the group and try and get a couple of shots right now so we can demonstrate how Brett slowly builds his images. So we just took a couple of first shots with Brett over there, and what he's demonstrating to us and just showed me with the camera is how he slowly builds his shots. Like I said earlier, what we did is he starts out with the first light, and the model will face sort of away from the light, and it'll cast a nice shadow across her face, and he tries to get a little bit of that Rembrandt's triangle on the cheek, and the shadow will start here and fade towards this side of her face. That's the first light. When he's happy with that shadow, he moves on to bringing in the second light, and usually what that will do is it will just fill behind her and it'll bring out her shoulder. So what you'll see on the photos that we've taken is her shoulder will come out from the first shot to the second shot, and you'll have a nice highlight along here, and it'll also bring out the feathers in her hat, and there'll be just a little bit of light in her hair. And that is what he wants to do, is he wants to separate her from the background. And what he likes to see in his end shot is light, shadow, and then light. And that's sort of the key to what he does, is he slowly builds that shot. So first light, he gets this shadow here. Second light, he fills it in over her shoulder. Then he leaves some shadow between her. So you've got the foreground, which is her, a little bit of shadow, and then he'll bring some light in the end. And that'll be the third shot that we sort of show you. So we just got our final shot with Brett out back. We have now added the third light with the orange sort of gel on it, and we've got the fog machine going. Man, I want a fog machine, and I gotta get one of these orange gels, because the end result is stunning, and you'll be able to see that in the pictures as he builds it. First light, second light, and then the third light, and we bring in the fog machine, and it looks so good. Looks so good. Cool. So just before we go in for lunch, I pulled aside Brett here, and he's just going to give us a couple minutes and just tell us what he was doing today, and in his own words, how do you build your shots? So you start with...
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a drawn-out process, and it is, but once you've done the same thing a lot of times, it's just the subject matter and the scene and the ambient and what they're wearing and the kind of feel you're going for. My style is pretty much that, yeah, but it's the stuff that's different. So I'll always start off with my main light, getting that distance to subject right. I'll start off looking at my ambient light, so when the sun's coming in and out, that can be a little bit tricky because it's changing the building all the time. And then I'll start to layer the picture. So I'm looking to keep some nice front light on the face here, but then keep a strip of shadow here, and then add my backlight or my side light, as it were, to bring the back of the head out from the darkness.
That's your usual formula.
Yeah, and then we don't always use the orange light. I think sometimes when it's flat like this, it just kind of kicks into its own, as you can see.
Yeah.
Adding a little bit of fog or a little haze from the fog machine.
When did you start using the fog machine?
A few years ago. It was Joe. I'm a big fan of Joey L's work. It shouldn't be that good at that young. It's not right, is it? He's awesome. But I'm not as Photoshop technical as he is. So I try and execute my things I try and get it right when I'm shooting, and without using too many layers and stuff like that afterwards. Okay. I don't do too much after. A little bit of capture one, and that's kind of it. But I always knew that living in England, you have to be aware of the crappy weather, and when the fog comes out, we're like, let's go play, because it just adds that extra dimension to the light. And I think the thing with the fog machine is you don't want it to look like you've just turned the smoke machine on. You want it to. That's why we're waiting for it to settle as much as we can, and it's not always instant on the back of the camera. You've got to get it on the computer to see there's like just this haze that we're lighting in the background. So sometimes we'll stick the orange gel on it, sometimes we'll use the white light, sometimes we won't use it at all. Yeah, in Italy recently we had 2 red gels on our rear lights. Okay. Because we were just shooting a girl, but she had this neck piece on, and it was the drama of the Dracula nature of the shot almost. And then we lit the fog and made it red. Yeah. And it became a background from nothing. So that's awesome. Yeah. Cool. But it's cool just to play around with what you've got. These are awesome tools to have. You build up to stuff like this. You build up to lights like this. You build up to cameras like this. Yeah. Anybody can get a cheap ND filter and have a play with a couple of speed lights and a couple of easy boxes and see how the light affects the face on the subject, and then when I stick somebody where I want to stick them, I know exactly where my light's got to be, and it just becomes second nature.
Do you have anything to say to somebody who might be considering the step up to medium format? What's the first thing they should consider?
It sounds really weird, but I don't personally believe that kit can change you, and this kit has changed me. I should start crying right now.
Oh no.
No, but you know what I mean? And because it did. And I always believed, because I came from a film background and slide film background where you couldn't look at stuff. Yeah. And it's all too easy these days just to stick it on motor drive, gun and everything, and you're going to get a decent shot. A lot of photographers do that. I'm not a believer in that. Never have been. It slowed me back down to when I used to use film. It made me think again, the medium format, about what I was actually producing. Yeah. And it's almost like I have to do my best for it. Yeah. I know it sounds a really weird thing because it's just a camera. It's not a camera. I don't think any medium format system you immediately fall in love with. It has to be a developing relationship. It's got to know how you work and vice versa to get the best out of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I produce pictures that I knew I always could. Yeah. And it allows me to execute that. Cool. Yeah. And I don't shoot as much, which makes our editing time a lot better. Yeah. At a wedding I might shoot a couple of thousand pictures on a 35mm. On a typical shoot like this, you know, it'll be 50, 60 pictures.
Got to be a lot
On
more
a family
calculated.
shoot, it'll be a couple of hundred. That's it, because I get it right quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, well,
So,
thanks for your time today.
No problem at all.
It's been a real pleasure
Awesome.
watching your work.
And you, likewise.
Thanks,
Thanks
Brett.
for your help.
Let's have some lunch. So we've just moved to the front of Frampton Court with Wayne John, who is doing remarkably well for somebody who just got off of a plane from Milan, has only had 3 hours of sleep. But what he's doing right now is he's just setting up sort of a baseline for us as far as the lighting and the shot goes, just in front of the house on the steps. He just gave us a quick demo of everything that Fuji is capable of, a lot of features that Fujifilm users will be very familiar with. The camera itself is one of all the cameras, might be the easiest to just pick up and just start using because all the key features are just available right there on the body of the camera. The aperture, the ISO, the shutter speed they're physical things rather than having to enter a menu or twist a dial to figure out which one's which. They say exactly what they are. It's right there on the tin. So we're going to take a couple of shots as he sort of establishes a baseline and gets the lighting how he likes it. We'll show you some of those, and then I don't know, I think we'll probably change location a couple of times, but yeah, let's shoot with the Fuji. Yeah, so came over here just to do some shooting in a similar spot we were yesterday with Damien, with Wayne. Our model Anna's got a really cool sort of burgundy dress on, getting some moody looking shots at the end of the water over there. Great thing about the Fuji is when you shoot with this camera, you can shoot 5 stops underexposed. I mean, it could be completely black and you can bring all the detail out. It's really impressive, and it's really handy, given it's a mirrorless, to be able to see how the exposure changes as you mess with the aperture as well. But yeah, so this is our 3rd session and final session of the day. We've had a really great day with all of the ambassadors that are here. They've all been spectacular. Really good second day on the medium format showcase. Everybody's really enjoyed themselves. We've got some great photos to show you, which you'll see over the course of the video, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it in retrospect. But yeah, phenomenal day. We're just gonna go and have a quick conversation with Wayne John and just kind of get his take on things. And yeah, we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this content from Clifton Cameras, please give us a like and hit subscribe. So we're here with Wayne John. He's our Fuji ambassador for the day. He led the 3rd session, 3rd and final. Wayne, tell us a little bit about what you usually do.
Okay, well, I'm a fashion, beauty and advertising photographer, so all the pretty stuff, really, if you want to call it that.
All the good stuff. We saw some of your prints downstairs. They're pretty stunning.
Thank you.
How long have you been shooting with Fuji? Fujifilm, I should say.
Yeah, Fujifilm now. Yeah, we get told that as well. I started shooting with Fujifilm from XT1. I had an X Pro one for personal use, carry around camera. But I started introducing XT1. I was a Canon shooter originally. Loved what I was getting out of it, image quality wise, and I've progressed through the systems since then. So medium format, I used to be a Hasselblad shooter and Leica, and then I naturally, progressed to the GFX when it became available, and haven't looked back really.
Yeah. So you progressed out of Hasselblad to the GFX. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, I just think the way it's moved forward, mirrorless technology as well. So the way everything's moved forward, and not only that, when I changed from, going from DSLR to medium format, now obviously I'm using XT2 for my main commercial non-medium format work. So now I moved to the GFX and everything's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I've got familiarity between 2 systems. I don't have to keep, changing your brain over to adjust and set. Buttons are the same, configurations are the same, ergonomics are very similar.
Yeah.
Just one big happy family. Of course, image quality on both of them is just exceptional.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think by far the Fuji system today was the easiest one to just pick up and understand.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you said, everything is there is what it says on the tin. All your major basic functions are available just straight there, aren't they? Do you have any words of advice for somebody who might be thinking about switching up from full frame or less to medium format? What should they consider before making that leap?
Yeah, I mean, medium format is a different beast. So it's a different tool for a different job, most definitely. you know, you wouldn't use a screwdriver, a hammer and a nail. So I would say, you know, if you want 10 frames a second, it's not the right tool, and no matter what brand it is in medium format, it just won't work that way. File size, so definitely if you're a very fast shooter, you will fill up a lot of hard drives very quickly. So a raw file out of a Fujifilm GFX is about 120 meg raw.
Yeah.
Now, it's like me for fashion, beauty and advertising. For sort of retouching and post-process, you know, I convert that to 16-bit TIFF. So that's like a 300 meg file.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. You know, 12 images fills a 4 gig card. So.
Yeah.
It's not a casual thing moving up to medium format. It's usually driven by career aspirations or, you know, I suppose professional desire. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it's a different style of shooting as well. You know, it's a lot slower process. So you get time to think more and choose your imagery more, and that's nice and relaxing in a way. Because a lot of people with digital nowadays are just shoot. You know, and 3,000 images later you got to find one. So it's nice in that respect.
I guess you find there must be a lot of similarities between shooting medium format with shooting film, you know, some time ago, because everything is really calculated.
Yeah, and that's the nicest thing. And I think Fujifilm, obviously, because they're renowned for their film profiles as well. But I think even if you're just shooting the raw, the GFX gave me and enlightened me that very filmic look that I was used to in the film days. You know, we got that lovely creamy backgrounds and fall off, but my subject, my model is just so razor sharp, and to have that in the modern age is just absolutely awesome for me. So yeah, I love that.
I liked the film settings on the camera when you know, you had the, what was it, 9 o'clock on the D-pad.
Yeah.
And you hit that and you had was it Velvia?
Yeah, film stock, yeah.
Do you actually use those settings when you shoot?
I do. Sometimes I shoot RAW and JPEG.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've known them for a lot of years. You get to know kind of what it does to an image and the way you light it and set it up.
Yeah.
So you kind of know. I used to shoot Velvia professionally as a fashion photographer in film days, so you know, I know how saturation works in there. So yeah, you can still do it sometimes because you can still post-process your RAWs to bring that back depending on what you're shooting. So to see a live preview of that in playback will show you how rich that image can be.
Okay.
In that sort of simulation mode, as we call it, yeah.
Yeah. So you more use it to preview.
Yeah, definitely. And then at least, you know, when I'm post-processing, then if I want to use that as a sample with my post-processing guide through, then I know I've got to wet colours, which you can do in post-process anyway, especially with Lightroom. You can apply those in Lightroom to RAWs. So yeah,
definitely. What's your favorite lens out of the Fuji sort of collection?
For me, that's simple in my kind of work. That's the 110 f2.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love that lens. It's equivalent to an 85mm in DSLR terms. But the focus, the subject to background focus separation, not depth of field, but focus separation on that is out of this world. It's, you know, you just wouldn't believe it.
Cool.
Would come out of a camera system like that. So for me, that's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, well, thank you for your time, Wayne.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.